inside the brain, dopamine goes here, nucleus accumbens, and dopamine is acting. What happens at the receptor level? Now, every hormone to act, it needs a receptor. So if you think of the hormone as a key, for example, then the receptor is a lock. So this will just fit into, the hormone will just fit into the receptor. Now, it's not enough for just to have the hormone. If you have the hormone, but if you don't have a receptor, the hormone is useless. So it's like having a key, but there is no lock. So what's the point? You can't get in anywhere. So you need both hormone and receptor. Now, in the case of dopamine, there are actually 5 receptors, which are called D1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But for our conversation, the 2 most important receptors are D1 and D2. And this is very important in many conversations, but for the sake of this conversation, dopamine, single hormone, but different areas will have different receptors, which is why it is so complex. So that is why neurobiology is complex, because you can't just say dopamine release ho gaya, act kiya. No, because every receptor will act in a different way. So in sex, what happens is D1 receptor, important for arousal, so you get turned on, and important for bonding. And D2 receptor, important for the actual act of sex. During the act of sex, your D2 goes up, but as soon as orgasm happens, D2 will come down and D1 will go up. D2, the more D2 receptor you have, the more dopamine makes you want to look for sexual partners. And the more D1 receptors you have, the more you want to settle down. So it's very important that after orgasm, your D2 goes down, because otherwise you will keep looking for more and more partners to bond with. 2 hormones that I do want to discuss now is the sex hormones. So the first is testosterone. Now, testosterone is released from your testes in men, and in women, this is very important. You think that testosterone is only in men, but women also have testosterone, but it is less. So let me put this way. In males, your testosterone levels are more than 300. So it is 300 to 1000. And in females, it is around 9 to 50, approximately nanogram per dl, nanogram per deciliter. Women also have testosterone. It's just that men have a lot more. And what does testosterone do? Specifically, in the act of sex, testosterone acts as modulating motivation. So, which you can also think about as libido. So wanting to have sex, and this is very interesting because both in men and women, testosterone acts to make you want to have sex. So one of the reasons that if say a woman is finding herself not interested in sex, one of the things you test for is the testosterone levels. And it has been found that giving low dose testosterone to a woman who is complaining of lack of sexual interest and is bothered by it, this is very important, she is bothered by it, she thinks that this is a problem, then one of the ways of treating that problem is giving low dose testosterone. And in women don't have testes conventionally, so the adrenal gland, if you remember, the adrenal gland also creates low amounts of androgen, which is testosterone. This is the overview. There are a couple of there are a couple of more points to talk about, in that after sex, testosterone is still important. So it's not just during sex. After sex in men, it now depends on, is that man committed or not. So if the man is not committed, the testosterone level continues to be high. And if the man does get into a committed relationship, the testosterone level actually drops. Because if you continue to have a high level of testosterone, you will continue to have a high level of libido. And that actually makes you want to explore more and makes you want to seek out more and more sexual partners. And this was actually done in a very nice study. They tested Air Force pilots, and they checked people who are single, people who are in long-term committed relationships but not married, and people who are married. And they found that the testosterone levels in single men are much higher, and testosterone levels in committed men and married men are lower. And there is another hormone called oxytocin, which is much higher in committed men. Concept behind oxytocin is that it is a bonding hormone. So oxytocin is the hormone that makes mothers bond with children. But much before that, much before we get to children, oxytocin shoots up after sex. If you have sex here, in women, oxytocin shoots up here, and in men, oxytocin shoots up here. The idea is that both men and women do bond, but at different times. Now, the important caveat to add here is that a lot of this information comes from animal studies and some human studies, but our understanding of this is constantly evolving. But this is to give you an overview, like an idea of what is happening in the brain when all this is happening. A brief overview of the neuroanatomy that is involved. I already spoke about the hypothalamus, and we have to talk about the PFC. Why is this important? Why should we talk about the PFC? Because I spoke about hypothalamus controlling the steroids, the hormones, the autonomic nervous system. I spoke about the nucleus accumbens causing dopamine. And why is the PFC important? Your PFC has the role of impulse control. So just because your limbic system says, I have libido, I am aroused, and it's time for sex, your PFC has that option of saying no. Your PFC has the option of delaying gratification, saying that not now, later. The PFC has the option of saying this is inappropriate, that this is not the time, this is not the place, this is not the person. There is consent. So the idea of consent is something that the PFC understands, and context, that this person is not somebody that I should be looking at sexually. This person is not someone that I should be having sexual thoughts about. So all of this is PFC. And this is very important to mention in this context, because if you think of it, almost all problems related to sex arise because of low PFC control. You have a PFC, use it. So modulation of behavior, modulation of sexual behavior is all about your PFC gaining control over your limbic system, because this is the part that makes us human. You cannot expect to get away by saying that this is my limbic system, it is making me do things, I can't help it. You can help it. That is the reason that we are considered as human beings. Now, the idea of sexual response, it's almost like a seesaw. You are not always turned on, you are not always disinterested. There is a constant to and fro happening in your mind, and a lot of this has to do with hormones. So the things that will make you more keen towards sex is the hormones dopamine, because there is pleasure, norepinephrine, because there is excitement, oxytocin, because there is bonding. The things that will make you less interested towards sex, and this is very interesting, is opioids and endocannabinoids. So endocannabinoids will actually reduce your interest in sex, and serotonin. Roughly, serotonin and dopamine have like a modulatory system. So serotonin will decrease dopamine, dopamine will decrease serotonin, because they have to keep each other in check. If you enjoyed learning neuroscience of sexuality, then do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon so that you can get a notification the next time I upload a video. Thank you.